Hello, this is Ty Anderson for Add-in Express, and in this video I will show you how you can build an add-in with Add-in Express that works with Microsoft Outlook and the Business Contact Manager. If you're not familiar with the Business Contact Manager, you're looking at it right here inside of my Outlook 2010 installation, and this is the 2010 version of Business Contact Manager. And what it is a customer relationship management tool that's intended for small and medium-sized businesses. And the great part about it is that it runs completely within Microsoft Outlook. And as you can see in the screenshot, I have a nice little dashboard. It tells me all about my top products, what's selling, who my top customers are. And also I can manage vendors, I can see my stores, other contacts, miscellaneous contacts, information about employees, and more. I can even manage marketing campaigns and projects and more. Since it's inside of Outlook, it makes it a great target for anyone who develops add-ins for Microsoft Outlook. And so what I will do in this video is take a page from my colleague Peter, who has a blog post on this, which I'll link to in the intro to this video on the Add-in Express blog. And I'll walk you through how to get started building an add-in that works with the Business Contact Manager inside of Microsoft Outlook. And what I have on my system here is Outlook 2010, along with the installation, the version of 2010 for Business Contact Manager, and then we'll also be using Visual Studio 2010. I'm going to go ahead and close this, Outlook 2010, and we will go ahead and get started by creating a new project. File, New Project inside of Visual Studio. And inside of the other projects or other project types inside of installed templates on the new project dialog box, I'm going to create, or I'll choose, the ADX COM add-in project type, and I will call this project BCM Demo, and I'll say OK. Doing so opens up the Add-in Express dialog or wizard that's called the new Microsoft Office COM add-in. And I can select my language. I'm going to do Visual Basic for this demo, and then I will go ahead and leave it the minimum supported Office version as Microsoft Office 2000. Now for my supported applications, I only want to support Microsoft Outlook, so that's the only one I'll select. I'll click Next. And then for strong name key, I don't have a certificate I want to use here. I'll just create a new one and click Finish. And this will cause that wizard to open up a new shell of a project inside of Visual Studio, as we'll see here in the Solution Explorer. Now I'm going to go ahead and open or make a little more room here. But the first thing I want to do is go into the add-in module, which is open for us by default once the project is created for us. And I am going to add a new Outlook Forms Manager to the add-in module. And we see here too, we also have a designer right here. And then the next thing, now that I have the ADX OL Forms Manager 1 object, I will just go ahead and right click on my BCM Demo project, and I'll say Add New Item. And I'll go to the Add-in Express items. I'll move to the Outlook node and just filter, and these are all the objects that are available to me inside of an ADX Outlook type project. And I'm going to select the Add-in Express Outlook form, and I'll just leave the name as is and say Add. And so next, let's just go ahead and design this real quick. Actually, I'm going to make this more of like a vertical form. And then in the toolbox, I want to add a button here. Make it a little bigger and conspicuous. But this button, we'll go ahead and change its name to, or at least the text, I'll say Send Bonus Letter Email. And then let's go find its name. There it is. And we'll name this button Send Bonus Email. Didn't like that. Button Send Bonus Email. There we go. Now I'll go ahead and just double click on the button itself so that it'll open up the code view. I'll give myself more room. And in this click event, we'll write our code that will respond to the button. And we'll start the click event by creating an object. As an Outlook inspector, and we want to do a direct cast. That is the inspector object property of the form. And make it an inspector. Next, what I want to do is create an item as an object, and this item will store this current inspector's current item. And it could be anything really. So we store it as an object, and then we test its type. So if its type of is an Outlook contact item, then we're going to take action. We know this is the type of item that we want, so let's create a contact item. And then let's change the type of item to be an Outlook contact item. Now I want to store a reference of the Outlook application. Which will be this property here, the Outlook app obj. And now I want to create a mail item as an Outlook mail item, and it equals a brand new item that we're going to create right now using the Outlook application object. So we'll take the Outlook app and we'll say create item, and I'll scroll down here to the mail item type. Now with the new mail item, I can just walk through the different properties that I want to set, and here I want to use the contacts item's email address. And now we're going to go through several lines of building out the body of the email, and here I'm just going to use a string and set the greeting. And we'll use the contact item's first name, and then we'll add a new line, and we'll do it again. We'll add to the body, and in this time we'll say thank you for your continued loyalty to our company, and add another line. And as token of our appreciation, we are happy to inform you of a 10% raise. And mail item.body. Thanks again for your hard work. And last one will be just our sign off from the management team. Nothing really sappy here. Just the management team. Now we can send it. Just call the mail item send method, And then we want to go ahead and release our COM objects, which in this case, 1 is the mail item we created. And then 2, we need to, at the end of the if block, or outside of it, we need to release the item itself. Alright, we'll save it, and then I'll close this. Close that again, and what we want to do now is configure this Add-in Express Outlook form within the ADX Outlook Forms Manager 1. Now there are two ways that we can do this. One is we want to make sure we select the ADXOL Forms Manager 1 inside of the add-in module, and then we see our designer, the visual designer, down in the bottom half of the add-in module designer. And then we can look, I can expand and collapse this. Now I have two ways I could do this. I can look here in the properties, and inside of the items I can click this ellipsis here and open up the ADXOL Forms Collection Editor. I'll close this for now. Or I can just hit the plus sign and it creates a new row for me right here. And then once I've added it, I can select this item collection, and we see in the properties the ADXOL Forms Collection Item 1, and I can move through the different properties and change them as I might want to here. My personal preference is to open up the items collection and use this dialog box right here. So what I want to do is configure this area here, the inspector section, and what I want to do is find the inspector layout property, and I want to say left subpane. Then the message class will be IPM contact.bcm.contact.1. Now this is the message class for the contact form that's part of the Business Contact Manager, and I'll show you how I found that later. But for now, just know that this is the value we want to put in here. And then in the inspector mode, I only want it to show up in the read mode. And we'll go down now to the miscellaneous, which actually contains one of the most important properties, which is this form class name property, which is my BCM demo ADXOL Form 1, which, if you're paying attention here, the BCM demo corresponds to the name of the project that I created, and then ADXOL Form 1 is the name of my Add-in Express Outlook form. So if I had given it a different name, it'd be, say it was Thai OL Form, then it would be BCM Demo Thai OL Form. So whatever you named here, it'll pop up and be available in this drop-down. If I had multiple Add-in Express Outlook forms in my project, they would be available to select here as my form class name for this form collection. Alright, now one other thing I want to do is make sure I don't want to have the close button, but I do want to always show my header. And now I'm happy with this. I'll say OK. I'm going to save everything real quick. And while we're at it, what I want to do is go back and open up Outlook so I can show you this tool known as Outlook Spy, which is a great tool, and if you're experienced with Outlook development, been doing this for a while, you probably know about it, but if not, it's time for you to learn about it. So once you install Outlook Spy, which you can search for this using your favorite search engine tool, and just search for Outlook Spy and you can download it, and it runs within Outlook. And when you're running Outlook, you can open up Outlook Spy and you have all these great buttons to click to find information out about the goings on internally of Outlook. But what I want to do is show you this. I'll go to the Business Contact Manager. I'll hide that because I am using sample data, and that's okay. I'm going to now go to the Contact Management section, and we will open up Herbert Dorner. And when his inspector opens, we'll move over to the Outlook Spy tab, and inside of what we're going to do is click on the current item portion, and we'll see that this form pops up. It's part of Outlook Spy, and we see the contact item, and then all these different properties that are available to us. And what I'm actually looking for is the message class. And what we'll see is that the message class, we're seeing its name, we're seeing what kind of property type it is, and some other information. But then the value here is the ipm.contact.bcm.contact.1, which corresponds directly to what we input for our form. And if we're looking right here, we can see here the inspector message class. They correspond. So what this means is this Add-in-Express Outlook form will display only when Outlook is showing this type of message class, the ipm.contact.bcm.contact1, which is the contact form within Business Contact Manager. Okay, I think I've beaten that enough. Let me close Outlook. And we'll go back now and let's start building the ribbon that we'll utilize inside of this project. Now we add a ribbon. I can just right here on this toolbar, which I'm going to go ahead and say show large icons, and I'm going to add the ADX ribbon tab object. And really for the purposes of this tab, let me make everything a little bit bigger, but I will want to change just a few things like my BCM add-in, and then let me add just a group to it. This is really all we'll add, and I will say here my BCM ribbon group. So now I have my ribbon, and I'm going to be happy with this, but what we'll do now is make sure that this ribbon displays only when we want it to inside of the Business Contact Manager, and we won't show it anytime we're in just default sections of Outlook. And the way we're going to do this is inside of code, and what we want to do is add a, let me go find it here, there we go. I want to go and add Microsoft Outlook events. And so what this does is makes all these events now available to me that I can respond to inside of my add-in, and it's all these Outlook events. And the one we want to respond to is the inspector activate. It would be easier if I just sorted. And let's go find the inspector activate event. So what I'll do is I'll just double click inside of this event, and here's our stub, our event stub. And inside of this event, what we're going to do is just look at the current Outlook inspector, and if its item type again is a Outlook contact item, then what we're going to do is we'll grab hold of that contact item type, and we'll look at its message class, and if it's the ipm.contact.bcm.contact1, then we'll show the ribbon. If not, we will hide the ribbon. So let's start up in much the same way as we did before, and let's grab just the current inspector, and we'll do this by creating a new object, and we'll do a try cast inspector There we go. So we're taking the past inspector object and doing a cast on it to an Outlook inspector. And now we'll create an item as an object. This should look familiar. And we'll do current inspector current item. And now if type of item is an Outlook contact item, then we're good to go. And we'll create a contact. We'll change the item to a contact item. And now we can take a look at the message class. And if it's the ipm.contact.bcm contact1 message class, then what we want to do is take our custom BCM ribbon and make it visible by setting its visible property to true. If it's any other message class, then we want to set custom BCM ribbon, set its visibility to false, and hide it. And last thing we need to do is release our item object. We'll do that outside of the if block. Save it. Alright. So now what we're ready to do is let's go ahead and build our BCM demo. And now let's register it so that we can test it inside of Microsoft Outlook. Alright, registration succeeded. We are ready to go for a test. To test it, what we'll do is I'll just say debug, start debugging. Visual Studio automatically starts Outlook 2010 for us, and we'll just kind of run through what we built just by moving to the Business Contact Manager module inside of Outlook 2010 and then opening up a contact item. So first off, let's move to the Business Contact Manager. I'm going to ignore my warning here that I'm okay with the sample business. And then let's move to Contact Management. And now let's open up Herbert again. And let's just see what happens. So when the form opens, we see our ADX or Outlook form available right here in the left sub pane, and then also too we see the My BCM Add-in Ribbon tab available with My BCM Ribbon Group. And let me just hide that real quick, and if we were to go look at just a normal contact, I'll create a new contact item, we won't see either of those elements. And that's because our code is working. So let me go back to Herbert Dorner here, and we'll do one last thing, which would be to send the bonus letter email. I'll click that and close Herbert, and let's look at our folder list, and we'll go to the outbox where we see someone at example.com, which is the email address assigned to Herbert, and then also we see what the code says we should see, which is Dear Herbert, thank you for your continued loyalty to our company. As a token of our appreciation, we're happy to inform you of a 10% raise. Thanks again for your hard work, the management team. So as you can see from this demonstration, you can use Add-in Express to build and extend you can use Add-in Express to extend the Business Contact Manager. A key thing here too is that this also supports Business Contact Manager 2007. Even though this demo showed 2010, this also works with 2007. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you put this in use. And if you have any questions, just visit us on the forums and we'll be happy to help you out.